Welcome to A Billion Realities, where we explore all topics related to spirituality, psychology, and the power of the mind. And now your host, Jessica Gerlach.
PodcastCadet.com provides a one-on-one private consultation for anyone, whether you are just starting or already have a podcast that you want to take to the next level. They have the professionals to help you. Visit PodcastCadet.com today and use the code Riyality20 to save 20% off your entire purchase. I've personally used this service, and I can assure you, you will not be disappointed.
Welcome back to A Billion Realities. Today on the show, we are speaking to a Canadian rapper that goes by the name Riyality. A lot of reality around here today, guys. In addition to discussing his career and the psychology behind what it takes to be a rap artist, we'll be touching on some surprise topics that you might not know about him. Welcome to this show, Riyality.
Thanks. It's good to be here finally.
Definitely. We've been talking about this for a while, and I finally have you on, so I'm super excited.
No doubt. Glad to be here.
Awesome. So where are you joining us from today?
I am in just outside of Toronto, Canada. So, yeah, it's been dark here all day. It feels like I live in the land of forever nighttime.
I lived in Toronto for 10 years, so I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, it's crazy. As soon as summer ends, it's like 8 months of winter.
I always joke about that. I'm like, it's literally at least 6 months of winter. It feels like it anyway.
Yeah.
So where did you actually grow up?
Around here. I bounced around a couple different cities as a little kid, but pretty much grew up in Pickering. So that's about 30 minutes east of Toronto. Yeah, and just been around here in the city my whole life.
That's awesome. And can you tell us a little bit about your background?
Like
Ethnicity, influence, family.
Yeah, well, I wasn't born here. I was born in India, and then as like a baby, I was adopted from India to Canada. Yeah, but like I don't really remember. I was a baby.
Right.
And then grew up here. Yeah, just been started doing music probably after high school, so I was late. I used to run a radio show in college. It was like a hip hop radio show, and I used to interview rappers. And then eventually, I was like, "Yo, I want to do this too." So started rapping from there. That's where I met my boy Stitch, and I've been working with him pretty much ever since.
That's amazing. Yeah, I had Stitch on. He's so awesome. That's actually how I found you.
Yeah, funny enough. I was in the car with him. We were driving somewhere to go do a video or something when you were doing that interview. So I was in the passenger seat.
I totally remember that. I remember you actually being in the car because I think Kyle told me. Kyle from Hip Hop Canada.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, he was co-hosting with me for a little while. But so how far back would you say your history goes with music outside of, obviously, you started a little bit later, but
Well, with rap, I started later. When I was a kid, I played guitar. I wasn't that great at it, but I played guitar like from when I was like 8 years old to, high school.
All right, so you're musical. It's just in the blood.
I tried. I wasn't that great at guitar, and then, I don't know, for some reason, rap and like writing has always been my thing, so that rap was just like more natural, I guess.
Very cool. So when would you say you first discovered your love of rap music?
The love of it probably as a teenager, but then writing it probably like 19, 20 years old is when I first started writing my own and recording.
Very cool. So how did you actually get started in the business?
Well, through my radio show, because I think once I was because I loved it, and I was in school for journalism. So like I saw like, hey, you want to start your own college radio show at the college I went to? So I did that. It was a hip hop show, and I would just have rappers come on, and I would learn from them and stuff like that. And then I had Stitch on my show, and that's how I met him. And then
Oh,
from there,
cool.
I just started recording with him just because we were both from the same city, which is weird that I never knew him because we're like a year apart. So I should have known who he is. I just didn't until I
Well,
was doing the radio show. Yeah.
you met in divine timing. That's really cool.
Yeah.
So I love to get into the psychology behind what drives people. So what would you say is the drive for you when it comes to rap music?
It's changed over the years. When I first started, I was like super wanted to be like a super underground guy, and I was like a fuck the mainstream kind of guy, and I just like I don't know, I just wanted to prove that like most rappers in the mainstream sucked, and I wanted to be like the best and the most multisyllabic. So that was what really drove me at first. I wasn't like trying to make money off it. That wasn't. I was just trying to do it just to prove I could do it, and then growing up and then working with Stitch, obviously, who was already doing a lot of crazy shit at that time, that has a lot to do with it. Because when you're working with somebody that's already doing amazing shit and you're just starting,
Hmm.
you know what I mean? Like, so I was kind of pulled into it, and yeah, and just it stayed busy just because of the people I was working with, like Central Soldiers and the group I was with back in the day.
Very cool. It's a great way
Yeah.
to get started, somebody who's already like heavily immersed in the scene.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's pretty much nonstop. So like it's good because it keeps me motivated and stuff, you know? You got to keep up.
Love it. What kind of satisfaction do you get from live performances?
I love it when it's a great show. I've done so many shows in my life, and it's so fun just like, you know, because it's like a whole experience of like not just a show, but like going out to a different city, meeting different people, all that kind of stuff. So that's part of it. That's like the whole experience of it is so fun. But like the best feeling is for me is after I'm done my set and I know I killed it. And then I can relax and have a couple of beers.
For sure. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So it's no surprise that not everyone can rap. It makes me feel like rappers who freestyle think a lot faster than the average person. Do you feel that that's the case?
Yeah, like for me, for sure. Like even before, I guess when I first started too, I was always a drunk guy freestyling at parties and stuff. So, so yeah, it is important. Then I battle rap too. So if you're gonna battle rap, it's always good to be able to freestyle, obviously, so you can rebuttal. So
Yeah,
it definitely gives you you don't have to do it to be amazing, but it definitely gives you an advantage in a lot of situations, being able to.
you're right. And I feel like you have to be able to think faster, than the average person to freestyle.
Yeah, it's practice, I think, just keeping the sword sharp, and it's also when you do it for a long time, you develop a vocabulary, and then like you get to a point where you know what rhymes with what. So it's just, you know, it makes it almost effortless if you're on like a beat that you're feeling and you
I
catch
wrote
vibes, you know?
poetry my whole life and I totally understand. But, rapping is another beast, of course. But yeah, I hear you though. That makes sense. So,
Yeah.
what else do you feel is like the common link between talented rappers?
The common link, persistence, because it's not easy. Um, that's why you see rappers like those Griselda guys blowing up at like 33, 34 years old. You know what I mean? It's not that uncommon. So the people who really make it are the people that, you know, you don't have to be older either. You can be younger, but the people who really make it are the people who just go nonstop and like, you know, don't take breaks.
Definitely.
It's that really is what it is. Because you don't even have to be the most amazing rapper to make it. You can be a shitty rapper. You know, it's how much work did you put in?
I can definitely see what you mean when yeah, definitely. So obviously the entertainment industry is filled with challenges. So what are some of the adversities that you faced as an artist and how did you pull through it?
Mm, well, staying motivated was never really too much of an issue, except for this pandemic. When this pandemic happened, I was in like full album mode because I was just releasing an album, and then not being able to do shows and staying motivated, it was hard at first. And then I realized that this is a time where you have to build as much content as you possibly can. And
Right.
you know, people are sitting at home bored, so if you put something out, most likely they're going to listen to it rather than if they're, you know, doing something else.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
so staying motivated is a big thing. Everyone goes through slumps. That's a big challenge. And then not getting discouraged because a lot of bullshit can happen to you. A lot of fake promises, a lot of unrealistic expectations, you know. depending
Right.
on what you want to do with it. Not getting discouraged is definitely a big challenge, I think, for everybody.
Yep, absolutely. Makes sense. So I know every artist obviously has their own unique style. Can you take us through your creative process when you're creating new music?
Yeah, like if I'm my process is pretty simple. I'll never have like words before. I might have an idea of a kind of song, but I'll typically know the kind of song I want to write. So I'll just cycle through beats until I find something. From there, it's just, I'll let the beat loop, and it comes back to the freestyling actually. And I'll just wait till I can, freestyle a couple words. And if I come in with something like good, then I'll write an entire song just off of that. So it's just cycling through beats for the right mood or the right tempo or the right vibe, and then waiting for something to hit me and freestyling a bit on it. And yeah, and that's it. Like I'll write a 16 bar verse typically in like 20 to 30 minutes depending on what it is. So
Wow,
which
that's
is
pretty impressive.
is that fast? I don't know, because a lot of people I thought it was slow, because a lot of people write. It comes back to the freestyling. If you write with people who can freestyle, they write really fast.
That's true, but if you're actually taking the time to write it down and go through that process, I still feel like it's pretty fast.
That's true too, but then again, I also will do 2 or 3 drafts. Like I'll rarely, unless I have to, write a verse right there and record it. Like I'm able to do that, but like my best shit is I find always when I write it, come back to it in a day or two, fix up a couple things, come back to it, and then by the time I record the verse, if I have it mostly memorized, that's when it always comes out the best because I've tweaked it.
Oh, for sure. As a writer, I totally get that process. I don't think that anything I write the first time through is like, the way that I want it to be. I definitely like to go over it a few times. So that definitely makes sense. So tell me this, what do you feel is unique to you and your style of rap?
Um, Unique to me is I guess most of my songs, most of my verses are personal. So like I'm never trying to be somebody I'm not. So just by being myself, I think it separates me. I'm big on on good lyrics, and I try to also make it catchy or like modern. Like I grew up on the boom bap, but I don't put out too much boom bap music. It's mostly like modern sounding beats. So it's like lyricism over modern sounding, vibes. I
Very
think
cool.
that's my lane. I get compared to all sorts of people, and I don't really feel like I sound like anybody else other than myself. So
I agree with that. I definitely agree with that. Yeah. So speaking of other rappers, who are some of your favorite rappers at this moment, worldwide?
hmm, right now, like fuck, I
Sorry.
haven't even been listening to too much new music. Like I just cycle through like my iTunes library, but I'm always listening to those Griselda guys that I mentioned before, like especially Benny the Butcher,
Mhm.
because he's always whenever I hear him rap, I'm always like, oh fuck, I want to go write a reality bars. So
Awesome. Okay,
yeah,
that's good inspiration then.
yeah, that kind of shit. Like I love the boom bap shit. Like I put out Instagram like little 1 minute clips all the time of just 16 bar verses of just
Yep,
kill it shit rather than a song, just to because I love that shit.
love
But
it. What
yeah,
about in your area? Who are
in
some of
my
your favorite?
area.
Yeah.
Okay, well, fuck, it's so many. Well, pretty much all the guys I work with, like obviously Stitch. We just put out an album. He's always doing crazy shit. So he keeps me motivated. All the Lunchroom Poets guys, Lotus, Philly, B1, KP, all those guys. Like they just put out an album. They've been killing it. I love 420 Click, who are also from Durham. Those guys are crazy, always putting out good music. Um, Locally. Uh, yeah, that's yeah.
That's great.
When I'm
Yeah,
thinking of new guys, yeah, that's what I've been listening to locally. Yeah.
very cool. So if you could work with anyone, who would be your top three artists?
Anyone?
Yeah, anyone.
Oh, wow. Well, just because my favorite rapper is Eminem, I'm gonna say Eminem, or he was at one point. So because it would just be legendary to me. So if I could get him to do a hook for me or something, that would be cool. Then I'd also want like some like old school shit too. Like, are we talking rappers or are we talking artists in general?
Rappers.
Rappers? Okay.
Anybody. I mean, I was thinking rappers, but you could
Okay.
even
No,
do
no.
any
Well,
artist.
no, it gets too broad if it's any artist.
Yeah, okay, let's stick to rappers.
Yeah. I would love to do a song with G-Eazy just because I love his vibe right now. And like every time he puts out a song, I always like, I wish I had that beat. So if I could get on one of his songs, I'd like to work with him because I think it would be a radio banger.
Mhm.
And then because of where I'm from, definitely Drake. That would be crazy.
Hell yeah, definitely would be. I love Drake. I mean, I
Yeah.
love them all the ones you mentioned. So, what would you say is your favorite part of the music business?
the the fun touring and the fun nights in the studio with the boys.
Okay.
Like when I get together, like, we'll crack some beers, we'll work on music. It's like, it's fun. Then I also like the ending stages, the polishing up of when I finish a project. Because then you have like, you feel like you just did all the work and it's finally ready to be released to the world. Like
Yeah.
that's a good feeling. And then the days when I know I have a big show, like not every show, like I've done everything from small ass shows to big shows. And, when you have like a big show and everything goes to plan and it's like, it's really fun. Like that's awesome. That's when I'm like, the part of the reason inside of me that did it to have those rock star moments gets validated. So,
Very cool. Yeah.
yeah.
So, what would you say is your biggest challenge in this industry?
Not getting discouraged, especially right now with the pandemic, and finding different ways to stay creative and relevant.
Hmm.
That's a big challenge, I think, for everybody right now.
I agree. People are struggling, especially with inspiration, like you said. It's difficult
Yeah,
times.
like I was talking to somebody about it. I think it was Stitch, and I was like, well, I can't exactly go and make a song about me partying in the club because nobody's partying in the club right now.
You're
You
right.
know what I mean? So
Yeah, it's a
maybe it's
good
time for
point.
some conscious rap to come out.
You know what? I think that's pretty much in alignment with where you're at right now. So
Yeah,
we're
yeah,
gonna
no doubt,
definitely get to that too. I have a lot of questions for you.
for
So,
sure.
yeah, what would you say are your proudest works in your career so far?
Well, to be honest, like I rapped for 10 years and I did put out like a project and I was on like collaborative projects, but they weren't really like mine, and I wasn't like super proud of it. But October last year, I put out my first EP, pressed it up. It's on Spotify, it's on all that. So that was really cool. And
What's the
then,
name?
I'm sorry?
Can you say the name?
Yeah, it's called From the Ashes.
Awesome.
I'll send you a link. But yeah, and then I put out like a really cool music video with it, and I was like super proud of it. So, because that felt like my introduction as like a polished artist that was like professional. And
Right.
then, the book Enoch that I just put out with Stitch is, I really love some of the songs on them, on that, and then putting out a song project with Stitch, that was big for me too. Um,
Amazing.
and then, another thing that I did that we haven't put out anything, and I don't know what's going to happen with it, but I worked with this guy from the UK. His name's Punjabi MC. He's a producer. He made like Beware of the Boys with like Jay-Z and Pharrell. He's like Indian, but
Wow.
he's like from the UK. I did a
Okay.
show with him in London, Ontario, and we hit it off. Anyway, he sent me 13 beats and we made a bunch of dope songs. And if I put it out, it would be big in India and maybe the UK. And I'm from India, so it would be cool. Like
Very
so,
cool. Yeah.
so I'm pretty proud of that. I don't know if I'll ever put it out, but hopefully one day.
That's really awesome. I have to say this right after I met you, well, kind of met you online, and you put out the Book of Enoch, with Stitch, and I was like, that's so crazy. And I remember messaging you because I had wanted to write a series based on the Book of Enoch, And
Yeah,
I was like, we're on the same wavelength. This is too crazy. So yeah,
yeah,
it's just interesting.
for
Um,
sure. And ever since I put that out, I've been like learning more and more and more about it. It's like it's
so
a rabbit hole
fascinating.
that keeps going.
Oh, trust me, I totally know what you mean. It is. It truly is. Um, I wanted to ask you, how important would you say building relationships has been in this industry?
That's pretty much all it is. Well, not all of it, but most of it, because that's how shows and tours get put together. Like I've done so many shows and tours where it's like the people that you work with in different cities and how you get paid gigs and a place to stay and all that kind of stuff. It
Mm-hmm.
all comes down to who you know. So
Right.
like if you build good, so from we've been touring like Ontario like for 10 years. So through that time you meet so many artists and making good relationships no matter where you go and usually becoming friends with people, like actual friends with people. I made so many friends doing this. Um, is how all the opportunities come, because then like everyone, especially artists on the same wavelength as you and like doing good things, because then
Yeah,
people share opportunities and it's it's a huge component. And plus,
definitely.
if you can be the best in the world, but if like you're not doing anything and you're not reaching out to people and people aren't reaching out to you, then it doesn't matter.
Absolutely. I just see a lot of people, in that industry burning a lot of bridges sometimes, and I'm like, ooh, that's gonna hurt you later, And
Yeah.
the ones that really focus on building relationships and, you know, continuing, like Maestro Fresh West, for example, he's all about that. And, he just has good vibes with everyone, good relationships with people. And I don't know, I just find that to be very inspirational.
For sure.
Especially
Yeah.
in the US industry. I see it's very competitive, right? So what's that like in Canada?
Canada, well, I don't know too much about like, well, I do know a lot of artists in the US, so that's not true. But in Canada, at least in Ontario, the clique of people that I work with is all pretty cool to each other. But of course, there's a little beefs here and there and rappers beef. But I kind of just stay out of all that kind of shit and just work with the people I know are good people.
Good.
Like if I get bad vibes or like, I'll never judge somebody off something someone else told me, but I'll always keep that in mind.
Hmm.
But I'll judge people for myself. But if I get bad vibes or I don't think it'll be a good situation to work with somebody, I just won't, you know.
Good. Intuition. Do
Yeah, for sure.
you have any other hidden talents that we need to know about reality?
Uh, Hidden talents. I don't know. I don't know.
What do you get at?
Um,
We know we
I
know you're good at rapping. We want to
I
know.
wasn't gonna say that. I'm actually I work a day job. I'm a salesperson, so I'm a pretty good salesperson.
You're a
Like
word wizard all around.
yeah. Yeah, so like it's funny because I don't think most people would picture what I do. I won't get into it, but it's kind of funny, and yeah,
You can
that's what I spend
totally
8 hours a day doing.
you can get into it if you want.
Well, no, it's just my day job, like my
Okay.
trade. Yeah,
All right. Well, it takes a special talent to be a good salesperson. Not everybody's cut out for it. So that's good to know.
yeah.
Do you have a crazy or funny story that happened to you during your rap career that you could tell us about? Maybe on tour or something?
Mm, yeah, there's so many. A crazy. I remember a funny, crazy one is I went to New York because you're from New York. I went to New York for what's it called? Team Backpack in like 2016. Me and Stitch went, and anyway, performed there. I remember the night after, or the night we got there, or after the performance, we wanted to go party, and the only club that we could find was this one down the street from us, and we went in there, and it was like some sex club. There's like naked people like swinging from the roofs and shit like that. It was like fucked up, and then like I almost got kidnapped by this grown woman, like probably late 30s, early 40s, and dressed up as Wonder Woman, and it wasn't Halloween, and then she was trying to walk me away
Wow.
from there, and she's trying to bring me into a park, and then like I just caught bad vibes and ran, and then yeah.
That's
but
crazy.
but we get into all sorts of stories like that on tour. Like it's funny. Maybe one day we'll do another one of these with Stitch and a couple other guys, and we can all bounce ideas off each other because I'm sure there's a lot that we all forget about.
That's a really great idea for an episode, like crazy tour stories. Yeah,
Yeah.
love it. I always ask about tour stories because I know how they're just always hilarious or just completely wacko, whacked.
Yeah,
Not-
I would have more, but I've done like 2 shows this year.
I
Um,
know, that's true. That's true. You have to pull from history.
yeah.
So, not only did we get connected through mutual friends, but we are connected through some of our mutual interests. So, let's talk about that.
Sure.
It seems as though you've had a recent spiritual awakening of truth, I guess we can call it. Would you call it that?
Yeah, you can say that. Just kind of paying attention to what's going on around me, I guess.
Okay. Do you feel like it's something that happened kind of suddenly? Like you just started, like things started resonating as the truth?
Well, I always knew shit was kind of fucky.
Okay.
But
That's a good way to put
but
it.
then when COVID happened was really what happened, because about after 2-3 weeks of that, I was like, I went to school for journalism, like I mentioned earlier. So like I'm curious. I'm naturally curious about what's happening. And back to my day job, like I'm a salesperson, but I work as a hygiene consultant. So I sell sanitizer and PPE and all this shit, and I hear COVID, COVID, COVID,
Wow.
all day, right? So all these things coming together, I I started looking into what was going on, and then once I realized what was going on with COVID and like and everything behind it, and that
Yeah.
I I just went deeper and deeper, and I figured out like I went all the way down the fucking rabbit hole, I guess you could say, and
Yeah.
yeah, and then I realized a lot of shit that I was led to believe was true was actually not true, and
Right.
it's kind of like I did have like a shocking couple. There's a couple weeks there where the cognitive dissonance, I guess, was breaking, and then like being genuinely worried for humanity just because of what's happening, and then learning to have hope and shit like that too. And
It's a scary process when you first realize that so much of what we're told is a lie. And
yeah, even deeper than that was learning like symbolism and stuff like that, and then starting to see it everywhere.
oh,
And then
yes.
like nothing was the same.
I agree. You
Can't
can't
watch
even watch,
movies.
you can't watch a movie. You can't watch a halftime show. You can't watch a government or like what are they, like a rally or these ceremonies that they do. You see it everywhere. Once
Yeah,
your eyes are open.
and even now, like with the masks and the social distancing, I'm like, oh fuck, this is probably some like occult ritual of some fucking sort. And I just see everybody walking around like zombies and like putting masks on their kids and like little kids, and like I'm just like, what's going on? Like I don't
Yeah,
know, it's
I
scary.
know. It is scary. So now that I know what triggered this awakening, which was COVID, obviously,
Yeah.
can you just tell us a little more about that journey, but how it started? Obviously, you said there was a breaking of the cognitive dissonance, which took probably a few weeks or whatever.
Well, the here's the thing. It started when it first started. I was just looking at COVID and looking at numbers and trying to add it up, and just asking questions and kind of realizing, hey, no, the hospitals, they're telling us that the hospitals are full, but they're not. So when I realized that, and I started doing some digging, and then from there I was like, okay, so why would someone perpetuate that? And then like, just starting to figure out then stuff that I've heard of before, I never paid attention to, like United Nations Agenda 21. And then I've always just kind of like been aware of like, I don't know, like social engineering and like, like the, for lack of a better term, like the pussification of society, and then just starting to ask questions of why they would want to like make people soft, and
Right.
and like make us all like conform, and then just seeing like I don't want to say it the wrong way, like just like the kind of different agendas being pushed and the indoctrination like in schools and stuff like that, and like why would they let this happen, and why would they push that, why just
Right.
why are they saying everything is racist? Why is everyone a homophobe? Why, like, what's going on? Like,
The
why
whole
is this all happening?
masculinity thing. Yeah.
Why is this all happening?
Yeah.
So it all
So
just kind of clicked.
I just want to throw this out there. We're not saying that COVID is not real. We're talking about the agendas behind, right? So,
Right.
because we can't
No, COVID's definitely real. It's SARS-CoV-2 or whatever. It's like a
Right.
flu. It kills people, kills
Yeah.
old people especially.
Right.
Um, but the worldwide lockdowns and seeing businesses shut down and stuff like that, that's what's scary.
Right. And there's definitely agendas at play. It's just undeniable.
Mhm.
That's that.
It's like there's two different kinds of people right now. There's people that like see what's going on, and then there's people that don't. It's like
Absolutely.
it's weird. It's like I've never seen it so black and white as right now.
Yeah. And, I feel like if you're not already kind of awake to that, it's like, it feels like I don't know. I don't want to say they can't catch up, but it's like if you haven't done any of this research by now, the chances of you finally opening your eyes to it when this is what's going on now
Hmm.
is, I don't know.
I know. It's
It's
like
disappointing, but
I
I
know.
hope
You can't force anybody to see what they don't want to see. So yeah,
exactly. But that's cognitive dissonance at its
yeah.
finest, as we were just talking about. So, would you say that this awakening that you've had has influenced your music?
Yeah, definitely. Because now I take it more serious. Like when I sit down to write, I think about because I've been vocal about how I feel about a lot of shit. When I sit down to write my music now, I haven't put it out yet, but I'm a lot more thoughtful about what I'm saying.
Interesting.
Um, because now I'm thinking about like, okay, well, I'm thinking about deeper. I'm like, okay, well, what kind of music do I want to leave behind? Blah blah blah. What kind of message do I want to send? And I'm not saying I'm going to make every song serious. I'm just saying I put more thought into that now, and
Yeah.
yeah,
Conscious. You're just conscious. Yeah.
I just don't want to put out some bullshit. You know what I mean? Especially if
Yeah,
I have people's attention.
definitely. What kind of advice would you give to another artist who's experiencing like a massive awakening like you have and still are, but what kind of advice would you give to them?
Find like-minded friends,
Okay.
because if you don't, you're gonna feel alone. And
Yeah.
but as an artist, I would say just uh, be true to it. And the scary thing is, don't. You're probably worried that if you say some shit that a lot of that isn't a popular thing to say, you shouldn't put it in your music. I'm saying you should put it in your music because there's not
Okay.
enough of that. There's a lot of fake shit. So put
Oh,
out as much real shit that you're feeling, no matter
love
how crazy.
love that. I love that. So let's talk about the way that you approach your career. Do you set goals and what type of goals do you set? Or are you just like doing what you're passionate about in the moment and you just see where it goes?
Well, I think the thing is just to constantly be growing. Like I've done really cool stuff, and I've done stuff I'm happy about, but it's not consistent. So the goal is always to make that consistent. So every show and everything I do is paid for, and it's like it's a big ordeal. So that's the goal I constantly work towards, and the only way to get to that is by constantly making new music and putting out good music and visuals and staying on your grind and stuff like that. So
Awesome.
which is hard to do. It's hard to do to stay like that. It's easy to like drop an album, ride off that wave for a bit, and then kind of get stagnant. And so it's constantly okay. You put out that album, tour it, do whatever you have to do, and then what's next? So remembering to ask what's next instead of just resting on your laurels.
Right. And trying to stay inspired, I guess, and find inspiration for new ideas, probably, I'm guessing. Is that difficult to find inspiration for like new music, or does it just kind of something
No,
triggers it?
the beat triggers it. So it's having a steady supply of good instrumentals.
All right.
So if you have good instrumentals and you're in the mood to work on music, for me it'll pretty much always come. It might not be the best song every time, but I'll always at least write something.
The point is to let it flow, right? And then you always get some really excellent works out of that.
Yep. And just staying consistent. Like if I don't feel like writing a deep, meaningful song, I'll write, just some cocky rapper shit. Just, stay sharp.
Balance.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
That's great. So what are you working on right now?
Right now, got a couple music. Well, I have one music video about to drop with Stitch. We're probably gonna film another one, and then in the background of that, I'm working on just singles for myself, solo stuff. I'm just gonna, until this pandemic is over, I'm just gonna drop as many singles as I can.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Are there any opportunities like for, the circumstances to perform? I've seen some of these outside, drive-in shows and things like that.
Yeah, we were talking about doing one like a week ago. It didn't work out, but definitely open to it. And we did one show in the summer in Kingston. It was allowed, and it was the most normal experience I had all summer. But I don't know what the deal is with that inside anymore.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, those outside drive-in shows. I don't know how good an experience that is for like an audience member, but I'd be open to doing it, I guess.
I thought it was like, okay, it's better than nothing, but yeah, I don't know. I have had a guest or two on the show that did those shows, Danny Doucette and I think Maestro. I think those two. But yeah, I don't know. I think it went well. So definitely something to consider.
Yeah, or we just start calling our shows protests, and then we're good to go.
Wow, that's a good point.
Yeah, someone else try it and let me know how it goes. And
Test it out first. Test the
yeah,
waters.
yeah, exactly.
So, if you could describe your purpose in life, what would that be, and how does your music tie in?
Wow,
The
that's a
big
deep
question.
question.
Yeah.
The purpose of my life. I don't know. The purpose of my life is just to always, I guess, not to sound, boring, but stay true to me and just make sure whatever I'm doing, keeps. I'm always motivated to do it. I'm not just doing it because I feel like I'm forced to do it. Always be growing. Make sure whatever I'm doing, I'm getting better at it, and just trying new things. Trying new things with my music. It would be a shame if I was putting out the same kind of music project after project. So
Yep, you're evolving all the time, and that's awesome.
yeah,
That's what's going to
so
make you stay relevant.
yeah, so
Yeah. So, would you say that legacy is something that's important to you? And what do you want to be known for?
yeah,
It's a,
legacy is definitely important because you know
Mhm.
that's what you get remembered by, and it'd be nice at the end of this, if I ever finish, to look back and or just like I'd love the collection to keep growing, but I'd love just to have a whole lot of music that I made that I can listen to whenever I want to. I make music for myself first, so yeah, legacy and having a good collection that I leave behind after I'm gone. And sorry, what was the second part of that question?
That's awesome. Yeah, what do you want to be known for? Similar
Oh,
question.
well, I want to, I'd be lying if I said I didn't want to, be a, I'm not saying I want like a, crazy Hollywood lifestyle, because I definitely don't, but I would love to have songs known across the entire world, have a couple
For
hit songs.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Why not? Tons of songs become hit songs, so that's definitely a goal. And if I could see the world off performing and making money doing that, I'd love to do that
definitely.
as well.
Awesome. Yep. And this is a similar question, but I'm going to ask you anyway.
Sure.
What do you want the world to know about reality right now at this moment in time?
Um, that I guess as an artist, I'm in better form than I've ever been. I'm working on music all the time, and hopefully will keep dropping it as long as you want to listen to it. Yeah, never been a better artist, I don't feel, so expect a lot of dope shit coming.
Amazing. And where can people find your music or find you on social platforms?
Well, to find my music on anywhere you stream your music, whether it's Spotify, Apple Music, whatever, it's on everything. You spell my name Riyality. It's Riyality. I know that's a mouthful, but Riyality, Riyality. And my Instagram is at official Riyality, and same with Facebook.
Awesome. Guys, definitely check out Reality. His music's amazing. He's doing big things. And is there anything you want to shout out for people to look out for next?
Well, I just dropped an album, so go check my Spotify for Book of Enoch. It's Reality and Young Stitch present Book of Enoch. It's still pretty fresh, so go check it if you haven't.
Amazing. Thank you so much for joining us today. I finally got you on. I'm really, really happy.
No, it's good. It's good to finally be here, and I'm happy. Happy we finally got to do this for sure.
Definitely. So we'll be in touch, and thanks for joining us, everyone. Until next time, see you later.
Thank you for listening to this episode of A Billion Realities with your host, Jessica Gerlach. Visit us online at abillionrealities.com and follow us on social media at A Billion Realities. A Billion Realities is available on Spreaker, iHeartRadio, iTunes, Spotify, Alexa, Reach.tv, or your favorite podcast service. A Billion Realities is a proud member of the HC Universal Network family of podcasts. For more great episodes and content, visit hcuniversalnetwork.com today. Thanks for tuning in, everyone, and until next time, remember, we are all but one of a billion realities.